Hello, hello. We should be live. Hopefully, you are seeing and hearing us.
Hi,
Today,
Phil.
we have a very special surprise for you. We have a first guest in our new series, Opportunities to be Seen and Heard. The reason for that is I think you're tired of just the two of us. We need some excitement to add to this series. So we have a communication expert here hiding in the background, just waiting to come and be seen and heard.
Yes. And I would say it's not that big of a surprise we announced it. But here it is, Mr. Ante Mihaljević.
Nice. Hi, peeps.
Nice to see you,
Okay.
Ante.
Thank you.
Ante, could you please just explain yourself? I lost the word.
Excellent.
Okay.
Introduce myself. Okay, I'm a bitch.
Introduce
I'm a
yourself.
mother. Okay,
As we didn't do it in the announcement completely.
don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. So hi everybody. My name is Ante Mihaljević. Obviously, communication coach, live and direct from Croatia, Zagreb. Although originally I'm from the south, so if there's anybody from the south, yay, shout out. Uh, I help people communicate more effectively. That's basically what I do. I teach people how to build relationships with their clients, how to discover what their clients need, and how to sell them effectively. And that's about it. 2 kids, wife. That's it.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
he's
You
explained
have
himself. His
I'm explaining
presence
myself.
here.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying yes to being our first guest and trying out this new format with us. We'll be playing around a bit today. It's a bit less serious, perhaps, than what you're used to, but
Sorry
hopefully
about that.
we can let you shine. All right. I will start with the first questions because you're a former colleague of mine, and it's very interesting for me to talk a bit about how you got to where you are now. You started as an English teacher. Before that, you were an English learner. We have both teachers and learners in the audience. So, could you tell us a bit about your path? How did you get here?
I was born as a very young child. I'll tell you that. And I don't. Back in the day, we had, for those of you who are too young to remember that, we had like 2 channels on Croatian television, and one of them broadcasted Santa Barbara. And being the oldest in my family and having to babysit myself, I would watch Santa Barbara. That explains the haircut. And I learned how to read and write quite early. I was 3.5 when I learned how to read and write, and my late grandmother would watch Santa Barbara with me. And her eyesight wasn't that good, and also she couldn't read that fast. So as a child, I would just be reading the subtitles for her, and after some time, I realized that you would be surprised how limited the vocabulary of American soap opera is. So I've managed to memorize all the important phrases, and I'll just play with 2 toys that I had because we were quite poor. And I had these 2 toys that I was playing with, and I was very deep into that play. And my grandmother would be like, "What did they say?" I would just tell her what they just said, and she's like, "You're lying. You're not watching TV." And then they realized that I can read subtitles and that I can speak some of English. And this was quite surprising when I started cursing. You could hear me like running around the house. Fuck this, fuck that. And this was quite, I don't know.
You didn't hear that on a soap opera. Don't
Definitely
lie.
not. Definitely not. No, no, no. I was watching the Croatian Parliament, and basically that's how I creeped in this world of English language. And then my parents, although we were really poor, they paid for some kind of summer school of English. It was like a course or something like that, and this was quite fun. Uh, then I started learning English in school. Later, I was a prodigy. I had like the best grades, la la la. And when the time came for me to choose my college, I took the easier route. And my father was like, "What are you gonna go for? What are you gonna study?" I was like, "Croatian and English." Predominantly because that was something that I didn't have to prepare for. I was very lazy. I got in. I kind of fell in love with teaching people, actually, more than linguistics themselves. Although I appreciate and I love linguistics, but my talents were elsewhere. And my earlier beginnings after graduating, as some of you might know, I was working as a DJ, I was working as a teacher, I had different professions, but one of them was translations. I translated a lot, like seriously a lot. Whole Peleshats bridge documentation, I did a lot of that work and projects like that. And then I acquired a lot of knowledge, vocabulary wise, and I started teaching business English in companies, in house trainings, and this was quite good. And then COVID hit. Ta-da! We're going to talk about COVID. Hide your kids. This was quite peculiar because in 1 week I lost all my clients, like all of them, because I don't have an office. I was always going to their address, teaching at their premises, and then they tell you, you know what, you could be contagious, and you look like you're contagious. And I was like, no, that's my haircut, but still, they didn't let me in, and they canceled all of them in 1 week. And I was shit scared of that because my wife was pregnant with our second child. I just took a loan to buy a car, and it was freaky. Then I realized that I function quite well when I'm under pressure. My health, not so much, but my cognition is very good when I'm under pressure. And what I did back then was I created something called Mastermind. I know the name wasn't really the best ever, but here's how it went. I would organize workshop online using Zoom for 10-ish people, where these were professionals who could speak English at B2, B2 plus, even C1, but they lacked practice and they lacked company. They lacked opportunities to talk with other people in English. They were predominantly Croatians. I got two Ukrainian guys, but that's it. And I started charging for it, like something cheap. It was like 800 kunas for a month or something like that. People loved it. At points, I got two or three simultaneous groups, like one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, and stuff like that. I was like, okay, online can work. And then I met my sales coach who taught me everything I know about sales. And then I shifted the career in a completely different direction. For moments, I was transitioning. So it would be like, I don't know, 60% of English, 40% of sales, then 50-50. Then slowly and gradually, I became purely sales coach. Mic drop.
Okay. A lot of that resonates with me. I didn't swear as a child because that was indecent, but we watched Spanish soap operas, and my
Okay.
English came from Cartoon Network. And my grandparents also expected me to read for them. That seems to be a thing in our parts.
That's a very nice way of saying that our grandparents were illiterate. Very nice way of putting it.
Maybe a bit better
The
at
glasses weren't
coaching
the best at that time, so
than
this
they.
this was the
Yeah,
problem.
I
Blame it
think
on the glasses, yeah.
I think this
Yeah.
was all a strategy, a coaching strategy to make us literate from a very young age.
Precisely that. Komensky would be proud.
Exactly. I had the completely opposite experience during COVID. I got more clients because people needed to do something with their time, which is quite interesting. But I was in Prague back then, so maybe it was a different market. The Croatian market might have been a bit late
Yeah,
to
us peasants, we were late. Yeah.
late to online education. All right. So, what advice would you give someone who might be in that first stage of yours? Like maybe they consume a lot of content, maybe they feel, quite comfortable when it comes to understanding English. But, do they need to become English teachers to feel comfortable with their English? What would you tell them?
You know what? Actually, that's not a bad idea when you come to think about it, especially given the educational standards in Croatia. That wouldn't really be a surprise. But all jokes aside, one tip that I would give to somebody who is just learning how to speak, speak. That's it. Just use it. And learning by doing is really functioning and has been functioning for decades and millennia, actually. So just use your language. Well, it's okay if it's limited. Like with 400 words in your vocabulary, you can function. You can get the basic things done and just use it. Also, one tip for the learners out there, write stuff down. Like have these small cards there or some apps on your phone that are going to help you expand your vocabulary. So I'm not going to be promoting this mindset where mediocrity is okay. I don't like mediocrity, but don't be shy about it because most of the time you're going to be speaking to a non-native speaker and their understanding is also limited. And Edita, you're right now in UK, so you know how difficult it is to speak to natives. Like, especially if they are speaking in a strong accent, like Cockney or something like that, it's impossible. Majority of people who are going to talk with or talk to are going to be at the same level or similar level, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. So if you're at this early stage, just try to use what you have and learn by using it. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make a shitload of mistakes. So what? Big deal. That's the tip. That's the advice that I would give to anybody. Expose yourself to the language. Some people might say, "I watch movies with subtitles." Okay, good. I watch movies without subtitles. Okay, good. It's funny how I don't know if you've experienced this, but back in the day when I was teaching people, they would kind of brag about it, like I watch movies without subtitles. I'm like, that's good. I watch them with subtitles in English because I'm lazy and I like double input. But good for you. I'm not impressed. So just do what works for you. That's my advice. My drop.
I'm
Just
also
do
deaf.
whatever is needed, even if you need to explain yourself.
Why not? If I have to explain myself, I'll explain myself.
Use
I
it
think
or
I'll need
lose
to
it.
explain myself after this. Sorry, Edita.
No, I was just summarizing what he said into use it or lose it. I think we've repeated it here many, many times. It's a very simple piece of advice, but it's not that easy to start doing it. Um, what about using your English as a trainer, as a coach? Have you ever felt imposter syndrome because you're a
Yes.
non-native speaker? How
Mhm.
do you combat that?
That's a good one. And funny thing is that back in college days, I was studying in Split. I had a nickname briefly that I wasn't aware of. It was called Igor because my accent was probably very Slavic, Russian like, or something like that. I wasn't aware of that. And it's quite possible that it was. Not sure. It's still not perfect. And I'm not really obsessed with perfection, but I did have imposter syndrome. I mean, I still have it. And I've learned that imposter syndrome occurs when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. That means you're growing. And I'm fine with that. I've learned how to embrace it. But back to your question. It used to happen and it wasn't much about English as such. Although I'm not obsessed and I'm not impressed by the quality of my English upon leaving my college. It wasn't perfect. It left a lot to be desired. However, I would come to my clients and I would have teacher's manual, I would have workbook, student's book, and I would prepare my classes. So I was fine there, and they would rarely ask me something that I didn't know. And my ego was not that big. If I didn't know it, I would just say, "Guys, I'm not really sure. I'll check it. And I'll tell you later." However, where the imposter syndrome kicked in big time was me trying to swim with the sharks because I was just a poor boy from a poor family, and coming from this background that my parents were not business people, and I would come to business offices with the like creation and English background. I wasn't studying economics, and people would be talking about things that were beyond me. I didn't really understand how to behave around business people, not even how to dress. I would come in a like sweatshirt or something like that because I thought that's how you should walk around. I didn't see any problem with it. Then I learned that I get much further ahead if I fit in, clothes wise, for example. And then something peculiar happened. Trying to fit in, and this was my curse from the moment I was born. I was always eager to please and wanting to fit in. I craved acceptance. And what I would do, I would really learn a lot about what they do. For example, if my client was a company that was into printing, I would learn a lot about printing. If they were into architecture, I would learn about architecture. And curious as I am, this helped me expand my horizons. And unbeknownst to me, it prepared me to be what I am today. Because with this level of experience and with this level of language knowledge and with these sales skills, you're lethal. Because there is no situation that will leave you unprepared. So that's a plus. But with the imposter syndrome, it was very present at moments, and surprisingly, not because of the level of my English. I would usually know much more than they do because they came to learn and they wouldn't really challenge me. Not that much. However, the moment I started talking about business English and business communication, okay, that's a slippery slope because you are here talking about because your lesson says market leader was a very good textbook, and on I don't know, unit one is about marketing or branding. And you come to a company where you got three people with MBAs, five of them are in marketing, they've graduated in marketing. You're like, okay, people, now we're going to talk about branding. And yes, I'm teaching them, but actually, they know more than I do about the topic, not the language. And this used to be quite challenging.
Okay. So again, by doing it and acknowledging that you don't know and dealing with this, actually, it's a great strength to know that you don't know something.
It's a blessing, yeah.
Yes. And that's something you've used for your growth and benefit.
But I would sweat profusely. Seriously. I remember my shirts would last me like, I don't know, 2 months. I would destroy them. How much I was sweating back then. Because that was my psychology saying you don't fit in.
Have you beaten that
Yeah.
inner voice?
I don't sweat anymore.
It's possible, people. It's possible. Now would be a good moment to acknowledge all of the lovely people saying hi to us. Good morning, David, Kreshimir, Rina, Ella, Tihana, Vishnya. I'm sorry if I skipped anyone.
Yeah, I think you've
Sometimes,
said them all. I think they're still on Santa Barbara part, so they aren't
yes.
listening anymore. We lost all the viewers in the meantime. Thank you for coming for the start, and we can continue now.
Yeah, definitely. You can't really compete with Cruz or Eden or CC or whatever.
We have one important question, and that's how many episodes there were in Santa Barbara?
1,326, if I remember correctly, but I will stand corrected if provided with better information. But I know it was more than 1,200 and it was less than 1,400. I know that for a fact. In
All right.
aired in Croatia. That's very important.
Because you watched them all?
Not because I watched them all, and I would be proud to admit if I had. But I think something is bugging me right now. I think a piece of trivia that there were some episodes that were aired in the States but not in Croatia.
Oh, controversial.
Controversial.
Fact checkers in the comments,
Yeah.
please
Could
do your.
I could be completely making it all up, but something is telling me that they stopped showing it in Croatia at one point, but that was not the end of it.
Okay. There's another comment relating to that. I don't remember who was in coma, Eden or
I think
Cruz.
Eden actually. I think it was
Okay.
Eden. But I'm not sure. It was like 20 plus years ago. What, 20, 30 years ago? Jesus Christ, I'm old. Okay.
I think even more.
You shut up. You shut
I'm
up.
not really
You
sure
shut up more than
about
that.
it.
Take it back. Explain yourself.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, and regarding, you said you started working with Zoom during this dark ages of the disease we don't want to mention anymore. And you started then with at least video calls. And from current conversation, you're an avid learner. So where did you start to learn how to look better on the video calls? What were your struggles during that time?
That's such a good question.
Besides the English part.
Learning by doing was basically what I've done. And here's the funny thing. I had back in the day some kind of cheap laptop like Acer or something like that that had a webcam, obviously, and no microphone whatsoever. I was video calling people from my bedroom, and my daughter, who was 2 months old, was lying next to me, and my wife would take her, and it was really problematic. Uh, some kind of soundproofing was non-existent, so you could hear her. And that back then, Zoom didn't have those fancy features that you can actually just isolate sound. Didn't exist, but everybody was okay with that because we were all in the same problem. Everybody was working from home. I had a client, people. I shit you not. I had a client, and right now we can laugh about it. But we were in this group call, and she has two kids, husband, and 38 square meter apartment. She didn't have anywhere to hide from her kids. I'm not joking. She went in her shower, and she sat in her shower cabin, and she was calling. Echo was unbearable, but we were finding ways to do it. And I remember at one video call, there was a group of 20 people on it, and one guy complained that he can't hear me well. Everybody was fine with with the audio settings and properties of the sound. Everyone was okay, but this guy, and he was a spoiled bitch, if I might say. But he was like, "I can hear you well." And then what did I do? With my last money, I went and I bought some headphones, JBL headphones, because I didn't know better. The sound wasn't much better. Actually, I would say it was worse because they were not designed for catching the sound. They were designed for emitting sound. It took me some time until I realized that that's not going to work. And then I rented this place where I'm at right now. It's a very small office, and very quickly I realized that the lighting here is not okay, the sound is not okay. So I invested in a microphone and soundproofing, those things that you put on your walls in a pyramidal shape that kind of eat out all the noise. I bought some lighting, but I didn't know how to use it. I went online and tried to see how to do these things, didn't work. And then heavens opened, and I heard a voice. It says, "Call Darko, call Darko." I was like, "Oh, Darko Almighty, please shed some light," pun intended, on my situation. And he was like, "Dude, you just turn off the lights." I'm like, "Oh, but it's going to be dark." He was like, "Yeah, so what? You got the things, you can do things." And that's about it. And I bought a better camera. This works quite well. Just buying a better camera. Let me just demonstrate, if I may, people. Can I change my camera?
Yeah, please do.
Can I
I
even
love doing
change
things on live, just
video?
changing and
Yes. Now, peeps all over the world, notice the difference. And it's not expensive camera. I'll tell you later what model it is. But this is the original camera. Not that good, right? This one, much better. Different angle, different quality. So you can do wonders with an investment. Okay, I wouldn't like to hurt anybody's feelings or put anyone down, but it's a 120 euro camera. You buy it once and you're good for like 4, 5, 6 years. Just that small detail. And these lights, they're from Temu. I think they were like 12 euros a piece or something like that. So under 150 euros, you can have an amazing setup just with your camera and lighting. Of course, Darko, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Even maybe for even less money, you could get decent results.
yeah, you can do something with that you already have at home. But still, these are things that can be done and just corrected, like you just showed before. Even if creating different angle where the camera is shooting from makes different mood directly and how people perceive you.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is a great example. But regarding those Zoom calls, how did people perceive you regarding the sound?
It
Except
wasn't.
this one person who said he can't hear you.
They were okay with it, I guess. Nobody was bothered by it too much because Zoom, unlike Google Meet, for example, uh, they were really good with their sound approach, and they are constantly improving. But you didn't hear echo or something like that, so it was good. Sound was okay. Nobody ever complained other than that guy. And once again, without any hedging here, he was a spoiled bitch, and not in only in this regard, but later in life, it turned out that this guy was quite privileged and entitled throughout his life, and that anything that would be 0.1% under his benchmark was terrible, and I could live with that. But back in the day, it was a huge hit in the ego. Mind you, I'm somebody who likes to fit in, and I like to be accepted. And having somebody criticize the quality of your sound, and this is your bread and water, and bread and butter, and everything else, this wasn't really okay for me. So that's why I changed the sound setup, and it was a bit better. Now it's much better. I think that everybody can hear me quite distinctly, and that the quality of microphone is decent. And funny thing is, this is a very popular, high quality microphone that doesn't cost much. This is Rode, 100 euros. That's it. And you would be surprised how far you can get with just a small investments. So yeah, back to you. Zoom calls back in the day, audio wasn't perfect, but I wasn't satisfied with it. And I'm quite auditive. Auditory type of learner, and if the sound is off, I have huge problems. Like if we are in a bar and we're trying to have a conversation, and table next to us, somebody's like, "Hey people, I got something to say," I can't have a conversation with you anymore because I'll be focused on that person more than I'm focused on you. That's why I prefer walking and having a meeting while walking. But that's me.
Yeah, but also as a former DJ or current DJ, also. Oh, you're still former. You have high standards for audio,
Yep.
so it's a thing. And when people do communicate, language is quite important for it. Non-verbal communication is, of course, also important, and this is what you were talking about fitting in a business environment. I see.
I
Yeah,
agree with you.
okay,
I
this
agree. I
part.
agree totally. I totally agree with you.
But from what I can see, you are already dressed up for business. So this is a difference from when you started, even in the environment when you were going to the offices. And now also online, you dress up for the job.
Yes. It's very important because it puts me in a different mood. If I'm walking around my home in some kind of sweatpants or a t-shirt or something like that, I don't project the same image of myself, and I don't feel the same compared to when I just dress up a bit. I never wear a tie. Never, ever, 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 ever. I don't wear a tie. And this is like the line that I don't cross. But I think it's a sign of respect to the other person and to yourself to show them how the real you. Let me put it like that, the real you. And the real me, I'm not a sporty type. I'm not somebody who I don't own sweatpants as such. And it would be very weird to see me in that. T-shirts, okay, that's a different topic. But we cannot not communicate. It's impossible. And even when I come here, I communicate who I am and what my values are. And yes, there are days when I'll just wear like a t-shirt and a sports jacket. And sometimes it's going to be a shirt and a jacket. But I don't know. I think I communicate a lot, and I don't mean to diss anybody who is not in that vibe. Like, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg is a very experienced, very successful guy. He's always in his t-shirt. Late Steve Jobs was extremely successful, and he was wearing a turtleneck throughout all his career. I'm not saying that we should judge people by the way they
Well,
dress.
I don't think it's through all their careers. If you try to see some interviews before they really made it, you see
Ah,
them also
okay. I didn't know that.
in suits and everything. So they did need to get to that level.
Oh,
And once you're there, oh well, you can do whatever you want, probably.
this is
And
this is
I see
interesting.
most people just saying, "Oh yeah, Zuckerberg is just in t-shirt, so I can do it." So yeah, but you're not him. So
Okay, that's a very good point. I never thought about it, and
yeah.
it's a good one. Thank you, Darko. Or should I say
Uh,
Darko?
well, I'm not sure how it's pronounced
It's
in
Darko.
English.
It's Darko all the way.
When I was speaking with some uh, people not from around here, let's say this way, I say it was just dark, like on in night, and you put all in the end. So this is it. But regarding this dressing up, would you recommend it also for getting into better mood, having bigger self-confidence when speaking English.
Yeah, why not? Like, I think it was Sapir Whorf, and they said they have a hypothesis that the language that you speak predefines the way you perceive the world. And I would say that the way you see yourself predefines how you talk. Because if my self confidence is limited, if it's shaky, if it's very low, my self esteem is low, then there's a bigger chance that I might act non verbally, but also verbally, in ways that diminish the quality of what I'm trying to accomplish. And if, for example, I'll give you a completely different answer, but it will still cover your question. I used to work as a waiter back in the day. As a student, I had to finance myself somehow. And during the summer season, you would have people coming from the States, from Australia, and also from Czech Republic, for example. I'm not dissing anybody and not pinpointing them for any reason other than to make a point. When I was speaking to an American, my English was flawless. The moment a guy from Czech Republic came and asked me something, I my English not good, not good. I'm I use hands, hands to explain things to him. Immediately, my English would go down. Immediately, and I'm not sure that I can make a point here and explain why this happened. But I've noticed that when I'm in the zone, I'm good. When I'm not that much in the zone, I'm not that good. And if for some of you dressing up makes puts you in the zone, do that. There's anchoring. There's a thing called anchoring that I advise my clients before they go on a sales call to listen to songs that make them feel really good because you can hear it in someone's voice when they're down, when they're okay, when they're in the flow. And if dressing up puts you in this state, you do that. However, there are some people that feel very rigid, very nervous when they're wearing a suit. I wouldn't advise them to wear a suit and then to be twice in a state of discomfort. Wearing something you don't like and speaking a language where you don't have self esteem or self confidence that high. That would be just saboteur, if that's a word, even.
Yes, I agree with this. So,
Yes. What he said.
what would you say, Edita? Do you recommend also your students to dress up for your study?
It can be a form of armor or role playing, and sometimes that can help us get out of our heads. And I think that's pretty good advice. And when it comes to speaking with, doesn't have to be Czech people, anybody who might have problems understanding you if you're in the flow, I think what you were doing was just accommodating them, trying to be understood,
Yep.
trying to be closer to them.
Even fitting in a bit.
Yeah,
Probably me trying to fit in.
So to make them uncomfortable, okay, I'm not on that high level as you are not also on that higher level of English. I don't know.
I would accept that if it were intentional, but I wasn't doing it on purpose. I was doing it from a position of insecurity. And this reminds me, a friend of mine and his wife went to Thailand, and she speaks perfect English. He doesn't speak English at all. And they were in Thailand, and they were hungry, and they were trying to ask the locals where to eat. And his wife was like, "Excuse me there, sir, might I entertain you with a question? And I would like to peruse the restaurants in the surrounding area and the local establishments." And the guy was like, "Huh?" And then her husband was like, uh, "Friend, me, her, eat food, where?" He was like, he said something in Thai language. He was like, and they went and they had the best meal ever. So sometimes trying to use the best English that you could would just be stupid. Adapt.
exactly.
The most flexible person will control the situation. That's what it is.
Excellent. I love that. We have another person saying hi, so it'd be nice to say hi to her as well.
Hello,
Tayana, join
Jana.
the conversation.
Jana Bralkovic. Hi.
Lovely to see you in the chat. If anybody has any questions, you are free to ask. You may join the conversation. You are not excluded. We are not excluding you people. So say your piece, use your English, and you can also make mistakes. We will understand you because we're good at that.
Excellent.
Yeah, and besides Zoom and video calls, I see you started using more video content for at least a couple of months, maybe even a year. So, what do you see this? What would you say the advantages of this are for educating people? As we have a lot of viewers who are educators and perhaps English language educators, and how does it look? Where can they um, use this format better?
Beautiful. That's such a good question, and I wish that I had answers to it a few years ago, and that I had the infrastructure a few years ago. It would really significantly make my life much easier, and it would make me more productive. People right now, we have a unique opportunity to use AI, to use video editing tools, to record, to publish, to edit. It's way much better than it used to be, and it would be really a shame not to go out and do it. I started playing with video few actually 2 or 3 years ago, back in COVID. I remember, and this was the funniest video ever. I had like I don't know, some basic everyday trousers like jeans, and I took the best shirt I had and the best jacket, the only jacket that I had, and I sat in front of the camera, and I had a lavalier microphone hooked in my phone, and my phone was on my kitchen chair, and I was very careful not to move anything. I was very careful about the background to show a lot of books so that people know I'm educated. And I was talking in English. Basically, I was reading off a script in English, and you could see my eyes doing this. So today, I would like to talk to you about. And it was very robotic, and my shirt was like this, all twisted out, and the wires were hanging. I still published it, and I was kind of ashamed of it, but I published it. Got zero response. Nobody ever saw it. It was good. My face was saved. However, then I started playing with LinkedIn video. LinkedIn is not a video platform. You would be surprised. So it's not working there that much. It wasn't working back in the day. Then I said, okay, let's play with Instagram. Let's do that. Instagram TV, IGTV, if you guys remember. I played with that a bit. Yeah, that wasn't really working out. Then TikTok came. And then I ignored TikTok because it was for teenagers. And I felt kind of pedophilic to be there. So I wasn't going to go there. And then I realized that everybody was there. And then I started playing with that because I had a buddy who told me, buddy, you should go on TikTok. And I went on TikTok. I recorded a few videos there. I wasn't really sure what metrics I should be looking at, and fortunately, this was in a phase where I wasn't giving a flying F anymore, and I just did what I did, and I would walk around, and I bought a gimbal. It was DJI. Also DJI 6 or something like that. So I was walking around. I was so proud of my new DJI gimbal and my microphone and everything. My hand was like this all over the place, and people would get motion sickness watching me. Then Darko told me, Ante, put your elbow closer to your chest when you're doing that because you're making me sick. And then I did that, and I started posting it on TikTok more often, more frequently. And then that's the one, Mobile 6. Thank you, buddy. And Then what happened is that I started boosting, paying for ads on TikTok. And then something interesting happened. I would get 200,000 views on my TikTok. And then something that shocked me. It was a cultural shock. So it's a tip for those of you out there who are thinking about showing your video publicly. You would get people liking you. For example, for 200,000 views, I would get a bit under 2,000 likes, which is good. Comments, and it depends on the call to action. However, you would be surprised how many sad and lonely and frustrated people are out there who just go out and flat out shit talk in your comments. The nastiest shit you could think about. All out of nowhere. And I would just block and delete those comments because I don't like when people try to get negative if I can't hit them. If I can hit them, then they can be negative. They can try. But if I can't reach them, then please don't be negative. I'm joking, of course. And If you try to get out there and talk, there will be some people that you are bound to trigger. It happens. Go with the flow. Who cares? They're idiots. The sheer notion of somebody scrolling online, seeing your video, watching your video, and feeling compelled to say something talks a lot about them. So don't worry about these things. Uh, in terms of quality of video and everything, I found Descript to be a very good app to put subtitles on. Thank you, Vishnya, for recommending that. This was very helpful because for creation of subtitles, it works wonders. And I would really advise everybody to play with it a bit. I was quite hesitant to start putting subtitles on my videos because I was like, that's some extra work for me and I don't feel like doing it. However, you have to be customer centric. And if Edita or Tayana or Dark or Kreshmir or anybody, if they're watching this video, it's the extra mile for me to put those subtitles there. But it makes it much better for them. I'm not posting that often in English in video. I have a few videos in English, but generally it's in Croatian. However, since my big plan to conquer the world consists of actually exposing myself to English speaking audiences again, don't be shocked next time you see me speak or hear me speaking in English on video. But not yet.
Okay. Maybe now is the best time to start talking about it. From what I know, you still have what you started in Zoom, this sales training
Mhm.
in English. So what's it all about? How does it look like?
Okay, so the one in English is actually in-house only, so I only do it for companies. The public one is for everybody. So if you want to learn how to sell and how to communicate effectively with your clients in Croatian, I got public programs for that. It's called Prodajna Academia or Sales Academy, roughly translated to English. And it's a good program, but if you want it in English, right now, as of the moment we're speaking, uh, it's English ones are exclusively for in-house trainings. Companies can hire me to teach their people how to sell in English and for English-speaking professionals as well, only in-house. Public program is going to be available, but not anytime soon. At least 2 more years, because I have markets to conquer before I expand there. Because I really want to be established in Croatia and Balkan area generally, Croatian language understanding area, not necessarily speaking. Uh, bef- before I move to other countries.
So basically, at the moment, in English, it's on site only,
Yep. Oh, it can be online. Oh, it's
and for
online as well. It's
businesses.
it's online as well.
Oh,
However, here's the thing: if Darko has a company, I don't know, employing
I
22
have a
people,
company of one. Would this also qualify?
that would
No.
qualify. That would qualify. I have a client from Bulgaria who is a dentist who wants me to train him and his colleague in sales. It's okay, buddy, not a problem. We can do that. However, what I don't have a program in which Edita, Darko, Rina, Ella, Kreshimir, and others can participate as independent solopreneurs in English, whereas I have it in Croatian. However, here's the funny thing. If for whatever reason, 6, 7, 8 people told me, you know what you should do? You know what you should do? You should create a sales training in English. That's what you should do. And I tell them, would you apply? Yeah, of course.
If
Let's
it's
play.
free.
No, no, even if it's free, if it's paid, I don't care because I tend to work for free quite a lot. But I never do free work. And here's the thing: I have it ready to go yesterday. In all seriousness, if you told me, let's start tomorrow, I got 6 people waiting in line to do this. I have the program ready. I just got to go out there and do it. That's it.
Okay. And as a sales trainer, um, one last question. What importance does perfect English has in sales as it is? Would you be more likely to sell something, your services, your products, if your English is better, or is it more on a personality level?
It's a tricky one actually, and let
That's
me
why I
go.
asked.
Let me put it like this: for some people, some of the time, it will be huge advantage to speak perfect English. Who are these people? People who depend on their linguistic professionalism. For example, you got people who are very, very agile and they're very effective in communication in their native language, for example, Croatian. Yay for them. They don't speak English, but they don't need to because their target audience doesn't speak English and it's not required. Then you got people whose target audience doesn't speak English, but they proud themselves of being very good in English, and this unlocks different access to different materials for them, different books, different webinars, seminars, trainers, coaches, and stuff like that, which makes them much more effective in Croatian selling. I would be one of those because my clients usually speak Croatian, but I had access to the best of the best in the world. Like my sales trainers are top of the top. I was Sandler trained by people who are experts in Sandler. This helps. And if you don't speak very good English, you're not going to survive there. It just doesn't work like that. I was role playing with sharks, and this trains you like nothing else. So that's another example. Also, you would have people who have to export or talk to clients or buyers, vendors, whatever, from different countries speaking different levels of quality of English. And some of these salespeople from, let's say, non-English speaking world would really benefit from learning better English, how to speak better English. So all in all, in these three cases that I'm showcasing, we could think of many more cases. I don't see a reason for somebody not to be good at languages. I can't find a case to prove like, yeah, here's a specific example where it would really harm you to be better at English. Seriously, it works to your advantage in every imaginable case that I can think of.
Um, yeah, sorry. I lost my
I left
voice.
you
So
speechless. I know.
you left me speechless. Okay, mic drop. Nothing else to say. Anita, perhaps you have some additional question because, yeah, so English is really important in every aspect, also in sales. And we need the sales in everyday life, not only in business.
Yeah, perhaps you can think of an alternative example where maybe having a slightly lower level of English might make you more effective or relatable.
Yes, ma'am. There are certain cases where that would work, and I would even go so far to say that sometimes you might want to reduce the level of your English. First of all, to accommodate the different capacity that the person sitting across you or next to you could have. If your English is perfect, flawless, and you're speaking to somebody who is not on that level, you're just gonna insult them and make it hard for them to understand you. Don't do that. That's one case. Another case is, and I teach my clients this all the time, at any given moment, you should be 1% less okay than your client. You want your client to feel better around you, even better than you, but better. And if lowering your language capacity serves that purpose, you go, girl. Whatever helps you do that, do that. So there are cases when uh, toning it down a notch would actually make sense.
Okay, this way
Nice.
we've covered all the bases. I think it's 9:20. We know that you have
Thank
some
you.
other things to do, but we're very, very grateful that you gave us your time and your expertise.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
and it's
Much
a
love.
really great um, example what you said in the last sentence. So yeah, thank you. Now, before we let you go, I know you are. We know that you're in a hurry. Thank you once again for being here. Where can people find you?
Thank you. School. School is something that I would
In
really
school? What?
wholeheartedly
Elementary?
advise.
High
Yeah,
school?
elementary, high school, yeah, I don't go there anymore. School.com, SKOOL.com. I have a community there, free community in Croatian only for the time being. LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. I'm all over the place. The only place where I'm not at is Tinder. So you can just reach out whenever, wherever, whatever, Shakira. So we can hang out there. It's very easy. Ante Mihaljević. Good luck trying to pronounce that. For those of you who are not speaking English, I'll be more than happy to say hi back.
Thank you so much.
Take care, peeps. Thank you for having me one more
And
time.
see you.
Take care.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye.